starting in 5 seconds. Mr. Deputy Speaker, sir, we must find out the main reason why there were so many writ petitions and petitions for special leave to appeal to the Supreme Court. That was so because in most of these cases we had made the decision of that tribunal final. Now, under the Constitution, the Supreme Court has got the right to grant special leave of appeal. That is naturally untouched. Similarly, the High Courts have got the right or the power to issue writs. Of course, I cannot say that it is all without justification. Probably many of those courts thought that in a matter where the aggrieved party had no remedy whatsoever, they should rather have the right to look into that matter. And it was from that point of view, probably, that we had so many appeals and so many writs issued by the High Court. Now we are going to provide in this measure for a direct appeal to the High Court itself. As lawyer members probably know, when there is a remedy by way of appeal, no High Court ordinarily issues any writ, and the Supreme Court is not expected to grant any special leave of appeal. It has therefore been found desirable to provide straightway for an appeal to the High Court by an aggrieved party. I think this will also remove much of the delay which is ordinarily caused by these matters. Sir, apart from that, the clause itself mentions that the tribunal shall decide the election petition within 6 months and that the High Court shall dispose it of within 3 months. I know that even if we impose such a restriction, it may not necessarily be so, but I am sure that unless there are any special reasons, etc., the tribunals will dispose of these matters within 6 months, and the High Courts also will give priority to matters like these and dispose of these matters within 6 months, and the High Courts also will give priority to matters that has been made in this bill much more satisfactory than the previous one. Sir, there are one or two other matters which were raised by previous speakers. I will briefly refer to them. Some thought we might make voting compulsory. It is a very difficult thing to do in a democracy like ours. We have adult franchise and 40 crores of people are involved. This is an impossible thing. You may compulsorily take a voter to the polling booth, but I do not know how you can compulsorily make him vote. Of course, there are one or two countries like Australia and Belgium where I am told this thing is being done, but with these exceptions all over the world, no country has thought it proper to do this on such a large scale. Therefore, it is not as if this power is given to some executive officer of the government. It is not correct to look at it from that point of view. As honorable members know, a man may be convicted or even sentenced to 2 years for offences which may not involve what is vaguely termed as moral turpitude. To introduce the words moral turpitude in a measure like this will not be desirable because it is a term which may have different types of circumstances. This moral turpitude is a thing which cannot be defined. Therefore, the other house thought that the best way and the best remedy out of this was to leave the power to the election commission itself, and I believe there has been no complaint till now in any proper case that the election commission has ever hesitated to remove disqualification if it could be done. I am sure that hereafter also there is no such danger so far as that independent authority is concerned. But to introduce the term moral turpitude in this measure, that very vague term has not been found. Sir, as the honorable members are aware, there was a little confusion with regard to the various categories of corrupt practices. For instance, there were major corrupt practices, there were minor corrupt practices, and there were illegal practices, and all of them had different effects under different circumstances. And even some of the lawyers found this matter rather a very intricate one. Therefore, in the present bill, only corrupt practices have been mentioned, and the distinction between major and minor corrupt practices has been taken away. Of course, so far as offences are concerned, there is that category of electoral offences, and that has been done not with a view to changing any particular effect with respect to the matters which are undesirable, but that has been done with a view to making the whole thing far more simple and easily understandable. So you will find that so far as the present bill is concerned, it has made the election law as simple as possible. Probably there has been some difference of opinion in the other house, and there might be some difference of opinion in this house as well with regard to the clause relating to disqualification, and particularly with regard to the disqualification incurred by a person who has been sentenced to imprisonment for 2 years and more. The reason for that is that generally the offences for which a man is sentenced to 2 years are cognizable offence and offences of a more serious nature. It was therefore thought that in such a case he should not be allowed to stand for 5 years more. But even then, as matters now stand, that disqualification can be removed by the election commission in the suitable cases. Now, as the honorable members are aware, the election commission is a special constitutional authority set up by us in order to ensure the free and fair election which we want to have in the country. Stop. Starting in 5 seconds. Madam, I now come to the activities of oil exploration. Our aim ultimately is a complete stoppage of import of crude oil. With a view to do it, we are now intensively carrying on oil exploration both offshore and onshore in the country. As the House knows, the activities of offshore explorations are increasing, and there are very great prospects of getting oil. Next year, we hope that production from the offshore will be something between 1 million and 2 million tons of oil. By the middle of the next year or by the third quarter of the next year, our production of crude oil from the onshore area is also likely to increase by about 1 to 2 million tons. So, just now, when we are importing about two-thirds of our consumption, we hope that by the end of the next year, this proportion will be substantially reduced. It is quite possible that we may then produce about 40% of our crude oil by the end of this year and import about 50%. If discovery of oil and production program goes on like this within 3 years, we hope the situation will very much improve. By the end of next year, we hope we shall be able to produce as much oil as we would require. Madam, such a situation in the exploration is due to the fact that the Oil and Natural Gas Commission has of late made rapid advances towards new technology both onshore and offshore. I am glad to inform the House that we are now knowing much more the difficulties of oil exploration than what we knew about a few years ago. We do not hesitate to exchange knowledge with those who have it, although there are sometimes difficulties in bargaining with such parties who know more about it than us. Now, with regard to increasing the number of refineries, it is very difficult just now to commit the government to anything like that. There are two refineries in Assam, a third one is coming up. With these, we hope to process as much crude oil as will be possible for us to do. We are already committed to transport 2 million tons of crude oil to Bihar. Madam, I would like to say a few words about the Assam oil situation. Oil exploration in Assam is increasing, and I want to assure honorable members that both the refineries are being expanded. At present, we are actively engaged in planning for the expansion of these refineries. The petrochemical industry is being planned, and we hope in the next 2 or 3 years there will be sufficient expansion. Madam, there is one more point which was raised by my honorable friend. I want to inform the House that the public sector units are increasing the quantity and quality of our medicines. These are badly required. The House may be aware that very recently there was acute scarcity of blood pressure medicines. These tablets were neither available in our country nor are we getting it from the Western countries. We managed to get the bulk product, and now you will be glad to know that the public sector is producing blood pressure tablets. In this manner, we are increasing our sphere of activity. The honorable member will agree that how soon we acted on the information supplied by him. Further, fertilizer prices have already been reduced by about rupees 80 depending on different types of fertilizers. There is a large program of having plants under public sector fertilizer industry. With the discovery of oil and gas in Bombay High and elsewhere, the position of fertilizer production in public sector has eased. So far, we have been depending on fuel oil, coal, and also some quantities of naphtha for producing fertilizer. We did not want to import furnace oil and naphtha for our fertilizer plants. As more oil and gas are expected to be produced from Bombay High, we hope it will be easier and cheaper for us to produce fertilizer. We hope to get as much gas and oil from these prospective areas as is available and possible, so that by the end of the next year we may be able to have 8 million tons of fertilizer for our people. Madam, I have nothing more to say. I only hope that this program, which is initiated by the Prime Minister, will receive very serious consideration not only from our party but from opposition parties also. So far as our party is concerned, we are very seriously engaged in modifying our own organization, bringing about improvements in our own organization, creating a new pattern of cooperation between the government and the people to move faster to satisfy the aspirations of the people as well. Stop. Starting in 5 seconds. It is a pleasure for me to be here for the 7th convocation of the Indian Institute of Technology, Hyderabad. This occasion is a double celebration as it coincides with the 10th anniversary of the opening of the institute. Let me begin by congratulating the IIT Hyderabad community for these landmarks. For the graduating students, today is a special moment. It is the result of years of hard work and dedication on your part and on the part of your teachers and professors as well as your families. The energy and enthusiasm of youth combined with a solid foundation is a very effective combination. It can take an individual very far. As fresh IIT graduates, you are entering a world and an India packed with opportunities. There is so much you can do and so much you can achieve for yourselves, for your families, for society at large, particularly for those less fortunate than you. Please dream big and aim high and please take risks. The time to do it is now. Like individuals, institutions are very dependent on decisions taken in their formative years. IIT Hyderabad is young. It is only 10 years old. It too is defined by energy and enthusiasm and has built a solid foundation. Today, you have 2,500 students, one in five of them being a young woman. The institute has a strong postgraduate program with 30% of students pursuing a PhD. These are commendable figures, but the question is what next? The road you take today will determine your future not just for the next few years but perhaps for the rest of the century. That may sound like an overstatement, but do consider some of the world's major universities or even the older IITs, your peer institutes. Their achievements over several decades have been shaped by the trajectory they took in their earliest days. As a second generation IIT, it is important that you borrow from as well as learn from the models of the past. Conditions are different from the 1950s and 1960s. India has changed. Technology and the very discipline of engineering have evolved. Our aspirations are no longer limited to the heavy industrial base that we created 6 decades ago. Rather, IIT Hyderabad has to remain relevant to the fourth industrial revolution that will write the script of the 21st century. I am happy to learn that a start has been made by settling up a network of centers for research and promotion of entrepreneurship at this institute. These include the Center for Healthcare Entrepreneurship, the Center for Cyber Physical Systems and Internet of Things, and the Fabless Chip Design Incubator and other initiatives that fall under the umbrella of the TIC Foundation. Collaborative research is being carried out in areas of widespread utility such as 5G technology, affordable housing, and information networks for natural disaster mitigation and recovery. MOUs with leading international universities and R&D agreements with Japanese Industrial Corporation are also worthy of appreciation. Ladies and gentlemen, the best scientific universities and institutions of learning are not just teaching shops or degree factories. Increasingly, they are sources of innovation and incubators of technology and technology driven startups. The knowledge ecosystem of public investments in science, academic institutions, and universities, research laboratories, commercial application, and private enterprises has an almost magical potential. Its best example is, of course, Silicon Valley in the United States. At the core of Silicon Valley are basic science and technology campuses and their talented faculty and students. This IIT has been set up in a city and in a metropolitan area where several elements for such an ecosystem already exist. IIT Hyderabad, in a sense, is the element that completes the picture. Hyderabad has a long tradition of scientific discovery and application. In the 19th century, Ronald Ross, who won the Nobel Prize for Medicine for identifying the mosquito that transmitted malaria, did pioneering work here. After independence, Hyderabad became a location of industrial manufacture. It saw vigorous and far-sighted investments by the public sector and then the private sector. Gradually, the city's reputation grew as a research center. Before coming here, I called for details from the Council of Scientific and Industrial Research, the Department of Science and Technology, the Department of Biotechnology, and the Department of Atomic Energy, the Defense Research and Development Organization, and the Indian Space Research Organization. Between these institutions, I am told there are as many as 19 research faculties and laboratories in Hyderabad.
I have not
even mentioned the private sector. Hyderabad based companies are engaged in cutting edge research and manufacture of biopharmaceuticals and vaccines, and separately in the fields of information technology. Stop. Starting in 5 seconds. It is a pleasure to be with you all as this convocation is a landmark event in the lives of the bright young students who have earned their degrees and medals today. I congratulate the students for their achievements. I also congratulate the parents and teachers who have toiled hard to witness this day, which is so important in the lives of these young students. I attach great importance to this event as it is directly related to the future of our talented youth and thereby to the future of India. Only yesterday, I interacted with many vice chancellors of central universities and directors of institutions of national importance in the presence of the Union Minister of Education and experts of higher education who are responsible for implementing the National Education Policy 2020 and other related measures. The occasion was the visitors' conference held in the Rashtrapati Bhavan. Ladies and gentlemen, education is the greatest enabler. The future of our country depends on good education of our young population. Therefore, I try not to miss any opportunity that is related to promotion of education. I remember having participated in virtual mode at the conference on implementation of the National Education Policy in Jammu and Kashmir in September 2020 when the Lieutenant Governor Sri Manoj Sinha ji requested me to participate in that conference. I had happily agreed. Many of you may be aware of the fact that the Lieutenant Governor came into the field of public service with an illustrious academic career as an engineering student from IIT BHU. On a lighter note, the Lieutenant Governor is also described as a dhoti wearing IITian by his friendly associates. I appreciate his efforts for improvement of education in Jammu and Kashmir. Coming from this region, Dr. Jitendra Singh has been closely involved with the overall development of Jammu and Kashmir along with his responsibilities in the central government. The presence of Dr. Milind Kamble here, who is also the founder chairman of Dalit Indian Chamber of Commerce and Industry or DICCI, is a good example of convergence between academia and industry. I appreciate the team of IIM Jammu led by its director for taking the institute forward in line with the educational objectives of the nation. Ladies and gentlemen, as we know, the national education policy seeks to position India as a knowledge hub in today's knowledge economy. It seeks to make our youth equipped for the worlds of 21st century while preserving our ancient values which remain relevant even today. For India to become a global knowledge hub, our institutes of learning have to be globally comparable. Stop. Starting in 5 seconds. Honorable members, our small scale industries, cottage industries, and MSMEs spread across the villages and small towns are the backbone of our economy. These small scale industries have immense potential of making India self reliant. This sector accounts for about 50% of India's total exports. Several steps have been taken to enhance the role of MSMEs in the mission aimed at developing an Atmanirbhar Bharat. Development of small and cottage industries has received the requisite impetus through measures like modification in the definition of MSMEs, increase in the investment limit, or priority in government procurement. Initiatives such as emergency credit guarantee scheme for rupees 3 lakh crore, special scheme of rupees 20,000 crore for MSMEs in distress, and fund of funds have benefited lakhs of small scale industries. Besides ushering in greater transparency, the GEM portal has facilitated increased participation of the MSMEs even in far flung and remote areas in government procurement. It is a constant endeavor of my government to ensure that benefits of entrepreneurship are availed by every section in the country. Under schemes like Hunar Haat and Ustad, not only the skills of lakhs of craftspersons are being developed, but employment opportunities are also being guaranteed. Under these schemes, women craftspersons comprise more than half of the beneficiaries. These craftspersons are being connected to the global market through e-heart. Women entrepreneurs have a vital role to play in building a self-reliant India. My government has taken several steps to provide new opportunities for self-employment to women. Under the Mudra scheme, more than 25 crore loans have been sanctioned so far, of which nearly 70% have been given women entrepreneurship. Under Deen Dayal Antyodaya Yojana, Rashtriya Gramin Ajivika Mission, more than 7 crore women entrepreneurs have become part of the network of nearly 66 lakh self-help groups in the country. These women groups have been provided bank loans worth rupees 3 lakh 40,000 crore in the last 6 years. Keeping in mind the health concerns of working women in rural areas of the country, the government is implementing the Suvidha scheme, under which sanitary napkins are made available at a nominal cost of rupees 1. My government is relentlessly working towards protecting the health of infants and pregnant women through various initiatives like Rashtriya Poshan Abhiyan, free checkups, and financial assistance to pregnant women. As a result of this, the maternal mortality rate has declined from 130 per lakh in 2014 to 113. The under 5 child mortality rate has also reduced to 36 for the first time, which is less than the world average rate of 39. As my government considers it important to ensure equal participation by women, it is providing new opportunities for our sisters and daughters in various fields. My government has taken several decisions in this direction, such as appointing women in the fighter stream of the Indian Air Force and the military police for the first time, as well as allowing women to work in underground and open cast mines during the night shift. Keeping in mind the safety of the women, work on several initiatives such as setting up one-stop centers, national database of criminals, emergency response support system, and fast track courts across the country is progressing at rapid a pace. Honorable members, keeping in mind the global requirements and challenges of the 21st century, the government has announced the National Education Policy. For the first time, students have been given the freedom to opt for the subjects of their choice under the National Education Policy. Students have also been provided the option of changing their subjects or streams in the middle of a course. Under the Pradhan Mantri E-Vidya, my government has developed the Diksha online portal as one nation, one digital platform for school education. Ever sensitive towards safeguarding the interest of the students, my government has also successfully conducted the JE and NEET examinations in order to prevent the loss of an academic year. Honorable members, my government believes that the journey of the most deprived sections towards social and economic development begins with access to quality education. More than 3 crore 20 lakh such students are benefiting from various scholarship schemes of the government. These include students belonging to the scheduled castes, backward classes, forest dwellers, and tribal community and minority communities. It is the endeavor of the government to ensure that maximum number of eligible and needy students are able to avail the benefit of the scholarships. Along with this, the central government's share in the funding of post matric scholarship scheme for scheduled caste students is also being enhanced. Similarly, the network of Eklavya model residential schools is being expanded to cover every tribal dominated block to facilitate the education of tribal students. So far, more than 550 such schools have been sanctioned. Stop. Starting in 5 seconds. Mr. Deputy Speaker, sir, I rise to express my views on this important bill, namely the Food Safety and Standard Bills. When we talk about food and food safety, we are definitely concerned about the health and safety of human beings. Good foods mean good health. Healthy citizens mean a lead to a healthy and wealthy country. The main objectives of the bill are to consolidate the laws relating to food and to establish the Food Safety and Standards Authority of India for laying down science-based standards for articles of food and regulate their manufacture, storage, distribution, sale, and import to ensure availability of safe and wholesome food for human consumption. Sir, as the bill is the outcome of the discussions on various meetings of parliamentary and ministerial committees, the Food Safety and Standards Authority should be made an autonomous body. Also, it should be headed by a scientist or an expert in the field of agriculture. Sir, you are aware of food adulteration. We do not get pure drinking water in rural as well as urban areas. Even when we pay and purchase water, we are not sure whether the water is pure or of good quality. In view of the fast growing food processing industry and liberalized trade, we have to ensure that the consumers are not cheated by the sale of substandard goods, and also that the country is not made a dumping ground for substandard imported goods. There is mushrooming of foreign companies, multinationals, Chinese and fast food restaurants in the India. They use various food additives which are very much harmful, particularly to children. Sir, the functions of the proposed Food Safety and Standards Authority are to be lauded. They are prescribed standards and guidelines for articles of food to regulate and monitor manufacturing, processing, distribution, and sale of food so as to ensure safe and wholesome food for the people. The Food Authority shall establish or recognize by notification one or more referral food laboratories to carry out the functions entrusted to the referral food laboratory by this act, or any rules and regulations made thereunder. As far as the sample testing is concerned, there should be strictly a time frame of getting the verification report within the short period of time. Today, the food sector in the country is governed by a multiplicity of laws under different ministries. As such, it was felt that we should have a single regulatory body and an integrated food law. Sir, I strongly feel that every stage in the food chain needs to be standardized, and also there should be strict ban on advertisements on print as well as electronic media which lead to unfair trade practices. Persons or agencies engaged in any unfair trade practices for purpose of promoting the sale, supply, use and consumption of articles of food should be heavily punished. This type of trade leads to consumption of poor standard food, which leads to consumption of poor quality food and harm to the consumer. Sir, today the developed world has got strict food safety and standard laws. We too should have such laws so that the developed world does not take advantage of our weak laws in this field. There should be sample testing units which can give immediate reports after the verification of the sample food to be used by the consumer. I would suggest addition of clauses in the bill to ban such type of fast food multinational companies restaurants found guilty of using harmful additives and preservatives. Their licenses and registrations should be cancelled for their misdeeds. Sir, the bill makes provision for graded penalties where offences like manufacturing, storage, and setting misbranded or substandard food are punished with fine, and more serious offences with imprisonment. Sir, as per the packaging and labeling of foods, no person should manufacture, distribute, sell, or deliver for the purpose of sale without a specified label. There should be a specific standardized agency for different food items. Sir, the domestic market for processed food is growing at a healthy 15% a year. However, it is a very unfortunate that there is a complete lack of quality control in India's food sector. There is an urgent need to check food adulteration, food poisoning, and contamination of food. There is no denying the fact that available food should be safe, hygienically produced, and wholesome with right nutritional configuration. Sir, the implementation of the Act is going to be a big challenge as there are not enough laboratories that can do sensitive and detailed testing. On the whole, the bill is very timely and strengthens the law which is badly needed today. I wholeheartedly support this bill. At the end, sir, I thank you for giving me an opportunity to speak on this bill. Stop. Starting in 5 seconds. The value of education lies not just in getting a degree or training for a job. The real value is in giving back to the society and in helping those less privileged and less fortunate than us. It is with this sentiment that Guru Nanak College has extended a special facility in partnership with an NGO that runs a school for special children, that is, children with special needs. I am told that certificate courses are offered to such students to help them find employment and to promote mainstreaming. I wish such efforts all success. Your college also strives to inculcate service to society and make students socially responsible. Following the December 2015 floods in Chennai, I have learned that a team from Guru Nanak College was one of the first to reach people in distress and provide food, water, medicines, and other essentials. The University of Madras has both benefited from and contributed to a tradition of scholarship that is central to Tamil Nadu's identity. Even ordinary families in the state emphasizes the value of education. This has had a direct impact on social development indices and on the economy. Tamil Nadu has a proud culture of resources, research, and innovation, whether in the pure sciences or in medicine and of engineering and manufacturing. It has a well regarded IT sector and a growing digital economy. These are complemented by excellence in the humanities. It is no surprise that the Tamil language is among the most ancient in the world. Centuries before many others, it was exploring the literature and philosophy of learning. The ability to pursue education as an end in itself, as well as to help fill gaps in day to day lives of our fellow citizens, is commendable. In this context, the people of Tamil Nadu and institutions such as the University of Madras are a model for our country. Inevitably, it is to institutions such as these that we turn for direction and leadership at the beginning of the 21st century. This is an exciting chapter for India. We are looking to become a developed society and to urgently eliminating poverty as well as ensuring healthcare, education, housing, and energy access for all our people. Simultaneously, our country is seeking to meet the opportunities as well as the challenges of the fourth industrial revolution of robotic, genomics, and artificial intelligence. Universities such as this one are expected to be our navigators on this journey. Institutions in Tamil Nadu have shown commendable agility in nurturing an ecosystem that helps engineers and other qualified young people to become entrepreneurs and job creators. This is the route to the future and this is the pathway for the youth of our country. This convocation and this anniversary are a moment of renewal for both the University of Madras and for those graduating today. For the university, the 160th anniversary is the point at which to reflect as to where you wish to be in 40 years when you commemorate your bicentenary. The university needs to aspire to the next level to benchmark itself against the best in the world and to continue to remain competitive for top students as well as top faculty. The Government of India has announced a program to promote excellence in higher education by building capacities of 20 institutions of eminence. I am told that the universities of Madras has prepared an ambitious and detailed plan in this regard and I wish you all the best. Please also build networks of your impressive and global dispersed alumni and involve them in actionable proposals to upgrade the university, its system, and its scholarship. This attribute has helped it stay contemporary and relevant to emerging needs of students and of society. The range of courses and subjects offered here symbolizes this and spans the traditional liberal arts to 21st century disciplines. History and economics are taught here, and so are anthropology and religious studies. And today, this university has room for, among others, bioinformatics, nanoscience, etc. And to the students who are graduating today, I can only say that you are entering a world teeming with opportunities. You have been fortunate to have experienced education in a university of such standing. Not everybody has this privilege. As you leave this campus, carry your learning with humility. In some manner or in any manner you choose, give back to society and to those who are less well off. Let that be the true test of your education. I am happy to be with the cream of our cinema industry for the 65 National Film Awards ceremony. I must begin by congratulating each of the 125 award winners as well as the countless artists who have worked on the films that are being recognized today. This is a special moment for all of you and India. Stop. Starting in 5 seconds. Madam, in India, the Constitution provides that the citizens have fundamental rights, and all the fundamental rights are nothing but human rights. The basic law provides that these fundamental rights can be enforced by moving the courts for their protection. For instance, the Prevention of Untouchability Act is one of the most important laws which protects the fundamental rights of the citizens in our country. Madam, I would like to thank the honorable members for having shown so much of interest in the amendments suggested to this law by the government and for having given very good suggestions. I would like to limit my comments to the general principles relating to the human rights, then to the amendments suggested by the government, then to the amendments suggested by the honorable members, and then conclude my reply on this bill. We all know that in the parliament as well as in the state legislatures, questions are asked from the government as to how the fundamental rights were violated and as to how the government failed to protect the fundamental rights of the citizens. That is one of the most powerful instruments available to the representatives of the people to protect the fundamental rights. We have a strong judiciary in our country. At the apex is the Supreme Court. At the penultimate level are the high courts, and at district and taluk levels there are lower courts. Through these courts, the fundamental rights given to the citizens are protected, and unfortunately for us, we have a very strong media in our country. Every violation of a fundamental right is highlighted in the media, in the newspapers, and now on televisions. Those facts are brought to the notice of the government and the people in the country. Media is a very powerful instrument for creating public opinion. Though media does not have the power to punish anybody directly, yet the public opinion is so strong that the fundamental rights of the citizens are protected. Over and above this, the National Human Rights Commission was brought into existence. It was provided in the law itself that the state governments may have the state human rights commissions. This is over and above what was already available to the people in the country. Madam, one of the amendments which has been suggested is not allowing the magistrate to refer the matter to the Human Rights Commission. I am not in a position to accept this amendment. The scheme of the law that we have with us is this: any person who feels that his human right is violated can go to the court and get the remedy. He thinks that going to the Human Rights Commission is easier and more helpful. He can go to the Human Rights Commission. He can make an application and can get the relief. There are one or two points which are made here, and one of the points was the National Human Rights Commission should be given some authority. Madam, what is said in this respect is correct, that they do not have the direct authority to see to it that the findings given by them become binding on all. But then we have many other organizations. In this respect, the most powerful body in the country is the Supreme Court. What is said by the Supreme Court has to be followed, even if you do not like the order given by the Supreme Court, it has to be carried through. That authority is given to the Supreme Court, the High Courts, and other lower courts. That authority is already given. This is not something of the same kind. This is something bigger and different. If we study the charter given to the Human Rights Commission, it is something bigger. It is related to the policy making, it is related to the research, it is related to the bigger issues. If the Human Rights Commission comes to the conclusion that something in which punishment has to be awarded, the Commission will not award the punishment, but it will refer the case to the Supreme Court, to the High Court, to any other court for punishment, and then the punishment will be given by that court. This is the arrangement. Madam, over and above all these things, in my opinion, what is really helping is the ethos of the people. The people in the country are themselves protecting and human rights of one another. For every man committing a crime or violation of human rights, we have hundreds and thousands of people protecting the human rights. The most important thing in our country is that not only we respect and protect the human rights of our neighbors, but also we respect and protect some rights of the living creatures. We respect even trees, we respect even animals. That is our attitude towards life, and it is really helping us. I would like to say that the media today in our country is not having any sanctioning authority, power to punish anybody, and yet how powerful it is, because it creates public opinion. The United Nations is an international body which is presiding over the matters relating to the most powerful nations in the world. It has no power to punish, yet it has the power to create the public opinion, and that public opinion is more powerful than the authority which is given to anybody to punish anybody. The Human Rights Commission is something like that. It is something which can be treated at a very high level, but as far as the actual functioning is concerned, it is the Supreme Court and other courts which are punishing and is seeing that the orders passed the are implemented. But to the extent it is necessary and possible to give more powers to the Human Rights Commission. We will again examine it and wherever necessary and possible to do something in this matter, we will be happy to do that. Stop. Starting in 5 seconds. I am happy that 1.5 years after the first agriculture summit, we are meeting again to review the status of implementation of policies necessary for the development of our agriculture sector. We cannot deny the fact that there is a crisis in agriculture in many regions of the country. In many parts of the country, agriculture is being carried out in adverse conditions. The problems may be attributable to a wide range of causes, but the end result is that there are larger areas where farmers seem to be in acute distress. It is also a fact that in many other parts, agriculture is seeing a major transformation for the better, and the farmers in these parts are reaping the benefits of technology, irrigation, etc. Our government has succeeded in arising the decline in public investment in the agricultural sector. We have also increased the availability of credit at reasonable rates to farmers. Short term crop loans are now available at normal rate of interest, for which we are providing subsidized refinance from governmental institutions. However, we need more thinking on the credit front. While the financing system should do more for the credit needs of farmers, we need to raise some questions. It is necessary that we find answers to these questions in the near future. Last year, I had sought suggestions on measures to improve the institutional framework for providing long term capital for investment in agriculture. I am afraid that we have not made much progress in this regard. I request you to apply your collective minds to this again. To overcome the situation of agriculture distress, a package has been put in place for some districts in Maharashtra, Andhra Pradesh, Karnataka, and Kerala. An expert group has also been set up to look into the problems of agricultural indebtedness in its totality and suggest measures for providing relief to farmers across the country. We are setting up the National Refined Areas Authority to promote knowledge based interventions covering all aspects of agriculture in rainfed areas. I hope this body would be able to enhance the efficiency of existing government programs and bridge the knowledge deficit in rainfed agriculture. While we have attempted to bring about a qualitative improvement in agricultural research and extension system, I must admit that we need to do much more to improve the reach of effectiveness of rural extension services. These services were an important part of the foundation of Green Revolution. We need greater application of technology to improve farming of many crops, particularly in dryland areas. A renewed thrust has to be given to research in dryland farming with a focus on farming systems as a whole. What is needed is a sustained effort spread over a few years so that small farmers can be pulled out of their marginal existence while advanced farmers are propelled to the global platform. This is the real challenge for agriculture in the next decade. We are committed to ensuring that our farmers have access to adequate and affordable credit. Many steps have been taken in this direction. We have initiated programs and projects to provide adequate and affordable infrastructure in rural areas. We are investing in irrigation and rural drinking water to meet the water needs of our farmers and rural households. We are improving the functioning of agricultural markets so that the farmers can earn additional income. We are committed to increasing the productivity of our farms through the infusion of knowledge, modern science, and technology. Our flagship program, Bharat Nirman, is aimed at addressing the rural infrastructure deficit. Bharat Nirman, along with the backward regions grant fund, will improve rural infrastructure and provide greater irrigation. I am confident that we will be able to ensure a perceptible increase in public and private investment in these two critical areas, which will certainly have a positive impact on the conditions under which agriculture is practiced. Irrigation does require greater investment. We are making all out efforts to achieve a quantum leap in investments in irrigation. States too are trying their best. I do believe that the time has come for us to adopt a fundamentally new perspective on rural development and agriculture. This perspective must recognize the need for ending the rural urban divide in each of the deficits I have mentioned. While a large number of people will continue to migrate from rural areas to urban areas, and while urbanization will continue, our rural economy must retain its people and ensure a remunerative livelihood for them. A balanced development of urban and rural economies is vital for sustainable development and social and political stability. Another important challenge before us is to increase the real income of farmers. As leaders of industry, you should be more aware of this need than most. You know very well that there is a strong correlation between agrarian prosperity and demand for manufactured goods and modern services across the country. One aspect of such development will be improved returns to investment for farmers. Thus, we cannot grudge the farming community. We need to recognize that they need better returns for their efforts. This may hurt the middle class to a small extent, but it benefits the farmers. We need a balanced approach where we provide for the food security of the poorest sections without compromising the returns of two farmers, while the government will do whatever is necessary to keep prices under check and ensure moderate rates of inflation. We cannot sacrifice the interests of the farming community. Our strategy for agricultural development must be based on improving the real incomes and the quality of life of the farming community. So far, our approach to rural development and agriculture has been incremental. We have only tried to do more and do things better. We have not sought a paradigm shift in agrarian policy and agrarian development. I sincerely hope that in future we can strike out afresh in agriculture, seeking new pathways for rural prosperity. Stop. Starting in 5 seconds. This is a case entirely based on circumstantial evidence. The deceased was living in her matrimonial home. She, under Section 498A IPC, is concerned. The High Court finds that there is reason to infer that the deceased was leading a happy married life. The following part of the cross-examination of the PW3 father of the deceased is relied upon. It is true that there are 4 rooms in the house of Y accused. It is true that accused number 1 and 4 were using separate bedroom in the house. It is true within 6 months from her marriage, whenever Sultana visited to my house, she told me that I had performed her marriage in proper house and she is happy in the 40s house of the husband. It is true that my daughter was cooperative and helpful natured girl. It is true that when Sultana came to my house for Ramjan's festival, that time Sultana told me that I should take her in the house of accused and there is no entertainment in my house. On the basis of the aforesaid, the High Court finds that the same speaks of a different story. The deceased expressed her desire to return to the place of her husband at a point earlier than contemplated by her father. It is found that there was ample admission on the part of the father of the deceased and his sister that the parents did not take any legal steps such as lodging complaint with the police station, nor did they call elderly and respectable relatives for a meeting and inviting accused persons to explain their conduct. The High Court found it difficult to believe that there was a persistent demand from all the 4 accused. In view of certain admission, PW4 aunt of the deceased was found unreliable. The High Court found that it was difficult to believe that all the 4 accused were persistently demanding gold or amount and for pressurizing the deceased, or that they were subjecting her to ill treatment such as physical beating or starvation. It is thereafter that the case of the appellant was found to stand on a different footing. The deposition of PW4 is noted, namely, thereafter, after 8 days, Javed accused came by my house at Solapur. He told me that his father-in-law has not provided gold, cloth and money till now, and if it is not provided, he will kill Sultana, and thus by giving the threat he went away. The conveying of the aforesaid message to him by his sister on telephone gave assurance to the deposition of PW4. If at all it was found that there was pressure upon the deceased for complying with the demands, it was from appellant alone. As regards the circumstances relied upon by the trial court in regard to their motive, the High Court proceeds to find that the motive is not proved as against accused 2 to 4 in as strong manner as against the appellant. As far as the custodial death is concerned, it was found from Exhibit 24 that the deceased died sometime before 7:15 am. Postmortem was performed at 3:30 pm. Therefore, it can be ascertained that the death ensued 12 hours earlier, sometime about 3:30 am. Sport from PW3 is drawn to conclude that the two newly married couple were using separate bedroom, which allowed the accused 2 to 4 to escape from the allegation of custodial death against them at that time of the day, and only the couple is bound to be in the bedroom. Therefore, custodial death was proved only against the appellant. Referring to the prosecutor's argument based on the injuries of the deceased that it was not the husband alone but others as held was not found the only possible inference. Breaking of the front teeth was indicative of some violence. The High Court proceeds to find that a possibility cannot be ruled out that the victim was found unguarded, and last but not the least, the impression injury on the thigh and ankle cannot be ruled out even though the sole assailant tried to pin down the victim by riding on the person of the victim and putting pressure on the thighs by his knees and on the ankles by his feet. It is found that although admissions are obtained from the doctor that such injuries are possible if the victim is gripped by someone else, such admission is to be read only to the extent of medical opinion, that is, the injuries are possible if the pressure is put on the thighs or ankles gripped. It was found an inference of involvement of more than one accused on the basis of medical evidence is a matter of imagination and therefore somewhat risky in this case. Stop. Starting in 5 seconds. Honorable Speaker, Sir, when this government was elected for the first term, we promised to make Delhi a global city. It is a matter of privilege for me to announce that we have succeeded to a great extent in this direction. Delhi is known for its development in the last decade. Delhi is known as the green capital of the world. It has developed a world-class metro. Delhi has emerged as an educational and cultural hub. It is famous for health tourism, beautiful roads and flyovers and public transport. From this year, it will also be known as a city of sports and sports infrastructure. A study by a reputed organization reveals that amongst 37 cities across India, Delhi has emerged as the best Indian city in terms of quality of life and living standards. As a result of our efforts, Delhi tops the list based on education and economic environment, ahead of Mumbai and Bengaluru in the country. Sir, Delhi government took timely action through market intervention for controlling the retail prices of essential commodities. As a result, the retail prices of food items increased in Delhi at the national level. In Delhi, the rate of inflation on the consumer price index for industrial workers was the lowest as compared to other metropolitan cities and at the national level. Mr. Speaker, sir, the local bodies in states are getting grants from the center as per the recommendations of Finance Commission. This financial grant is not being made available to the local bodies in Delhi by the Finance Commission. We have set up 4th Delhi Finance Commission for recommending devolution of funds for the period of next 5 years. Sir, with a comprehensive approach to city development planning, we have initiated a number of reformative measures both in project and program formulation as well as their implementation, monitoring and evaluation. Taking into account the funds for completion of ongoing projects, I propose to enhance the plan outlay for the current year. Sir, in order to give effect to the revised estimates, supplementary demands for grants will be required. 1. Therefore, seek the approval of this House for the supplementary demands for grants. Sir, to improve the quality of public transport, we have decided to introduce low floor buses and air conditioned buses. More buses are also being added. We are confident that with this public transport will improve to meet the requirements of the city's growing population. Taking into account the increasing number of vehicles on city roads, government is paying due attention to pedestrian safety and convenience. A massive program for construction of foot-over bridges has been started. Sir, honorable members of this august House are aware of the problem of raw water faced by Delhi to meet the growing water supply requirement of the city. Government of Haryana has been asked to complete the project at the earliest. Sir, to improve the sanitation and environment in the city, we have decided to provide sewage system in all rural villages of Delhi. Sir, we are committed to improve the quality of education in government and government aided schools, for which a number of steps have been taken. The first is to set up new schools in localities which do not have adequate number of schools. For the next academic session, 5 new schools have already been started, 4 schools have been upgraded and more schools are proposed to be upgraded. Government has started pre-primary schools classes in all Sarvodaya Vidyalayas. Sir, government is providing subsidy on school uniforms to students of Delhi government and girl students of government aided schools. In case of aided schools, the benefit of uniform subsidy and textbook subsidy is being given only to the girl student. Sir, I propose to extend this facility to the boy students as well. Sir, government has reformulated the industrial policy to promote industry in Delhi. The existing units will also be encouraged to convert into high-tech and non-pollutant and skilled industries. Sir, it is a matter of great pleasure for me to announce that government has made arrangements for assured power supply during the year. Delhi will be a surplus power state. Sir, our government initiated the process of regularization of unauthorized colonies following the guidelines issued by Ministry of Urban Development. We are making best efforts to provide all sick services in these unauthorized colonies. Road, pipe water supply and street lights have been provided in these colonies. Sir, government is committed to provide social security to senior citizens and other vulnerable groups of the society. Honorable members have desired that the number of old age pensioners be increased. Therefore, we have decided to provide cat age pension to 1 lakh more senior citizens in the next year. We are also providing pension to more than 42,000 widows. Stop. Starting in 5 seconds. Mr. Speaker, sir, education and health are the twin pillars on which rest the social sector reforms. The total allocation for the education sector will be increased by 20% in next year. Of this, education will be provided, the midday meal scheme will be provided, and secondary education will be provided. The focus will shift from access and infrastructure at the primary level to improving quality of learning and ensuring access to upper primary classes. A model school program with the aim of establishing high quality model schools will be started. In order to make such schools more accessible to scheduled caste and scheduled tribe students, government plans to establish Navodaya Vidyalaya in the districts that have a larger concentration of scheduled caste and scheduled tribes. Girls' schools were set up to address the issue of equity in the education of girls belonging to SC, ST, and minority communities. So far, schools have been started, and I propose to allocate funds to set up an additional school in educationally backward blocks. I also propose to provide a fund to set up new or upgrade existing hotels attached to the girls' schools. Last year, I had announced the National Scholarship Scheme to enable students to continue their education beyond class 8 and up to class 12. The scheme will be implemented in the beginning of the next year. The midday meal scheme has been extended to upper primary classes in educationally backward blocks. The scheme will now be extended to upper primary classes in government and government aided schools in all blocks in the country. This will benefit an additional child, taking the number of children covered under the scheme. Knowledge is power. It is knowledge that will drive success in the 21st century. India has the opportunity to become a knowledge society. Following the Prime Minister's announcement, government will establish one central university in each of the uncovered states. We propose to make a beginning in next year by establishing 16 central universities. More institutes of higher education, as promised by the Prime Minister, will be established during the 11th plan period. I also propose to make a grant to the Postgraduate and Research Institute, Pune, which is one of the oldest institutions of modern learning in India. We must encourage our children to take to careers in science and research and development. Ministry of Science and Technology will introduce a scheme for continuing science education and opportunities for research careers. I propose to provide funds for this contribution to build a knowledge society. The recommendations of the National Knowledge Commission submitted from time to time are under active consideration. Some of them have been incorporated in the 11th plan. Government has accepted an important recommendation to interconnect all knowledge institutions through a network. This will encourage sharing of resources and collaborative research. I propose to provide fund to the Ministry of Information and Technology for establishing the National Knowledge Network. The National Rural Health Mission is the key instrument of intervention by the central government. The goal is to establish a fully functional community owned decentralized health delivery system. Village health and sanitation committees are functional. Several district hospitals have been taken up for upgradation. I propose to increase the allocation for NHRM. The National AIDS Control Program will be provided. Studies have shown that the rate of AIDS has come down from 0.9% to 0.36%, which is a matter of some satisfaction. The drive to eradicate polio continues with a revised strategy and a focus on the high-risk districts in Uttar Pradesh and Bihar. I propose to provide fund for this purpose. Two major interventions are planned to be started in next year. The first is the National Health Mission that will provide a health cover for every worker in the unorganized sector. I am happy that most of the states have agreed to join the mission, and it will be launched in Delhi and in the states of Haryana and Rajasthan. A national program with a plan outlay will be started. Among other measures, we will establish during the 11th plan period 2 national institutes, 8 regional centers, and a department for medical care and 1 medical college level hospital in each state. I am also happy to announce that the remuneration of Anganwadi workers will be increased from rupees 1000 per month to rupees 1500 per month. Likewise, the remuneration of Anganwadi helpers will be increased from rupees 500 per month to rupees 750 per month. Over 18 lakh Anganwadi workers and helpers will benefit from the increase. As honorable members are aware, there are 8 flagship programs of the government. I have dealt with 2 in the education sector and 2 in the health sector. Let me now refer to the allocations that I propose to make for the other programs. The National Rural Employment Guarantee Scheme will be rolled out to all rural districts in India. The goal of the drinking water mission is to supply safe drinking water to uncovered habitations as well as to address issues of quality. The mission does not yet have a separate component for school children in water deficient habitations. Our children should have good, clean drinking water. Hence, I propose to allocate funds to the mission in order to install a system to each school in water deficient habitations. The cost of each system, depending on the technology and design, is estimated. The total sanitation campaign is all about changing habits and mindsets, and it is a continuous process. Honorable members will recall that I had announced a desalination plant to be installed. A proposal has now been received from the government to establish a plant. The northeastern region and especially Arunachal Pradesh and the border areas face special problems that cannot be tackled in a usual course or through normal schemes. Hence, government proposes to identify the urgent needs of these areas and address them through a special mechanism. Scheduled caste, scheduled tribes, socially and educationally backward classes are and minorities will continue to receive special the attention. Stop. Starting in 5 seconds. The Parliament of India is the supreme legislative body of the Republic of India. It is composed of the President of India and the two houses, the Rajya Sabha, Council of States, and the Lok Sabha, House of the People. The President, in his role as head of legislature, has full powers to summon and prorogue either House of Parliament or to dissolve Lok Sabha. The President can exercise these powers only upon the advice of the Prime Minister and his Union Council of Ministers. Those elected or nominated by the President to either House of Parliament are referred to as Members of Parliament MP. The Parliament has a sanctioned strength of 543 in Lok Sabha and 245 in Rajya Sabha, including the 12 nominees from the expertise of different fields of science, culture, art, and history. The Parliament meets at Sansad Bhavan in New Delhi. The President of India, the head of state, is a component of Parliament. The President's responsibility is to ensure that laws passed by the Parliament are in accordance with the constitutional mandate and that the stipulated procedure is followed before according his/her approval to the bills. The President of India is elected by the elected members of Parliament of India and the state legislatures and serves for a term of 5 years. Lok Sabha, House of the People, or the lower house has 543 members. 543 members are directly elected by citizens of India on the basis of universal adult franchise representing parliamentary constituencies across the country. Every citizen of India who is over 18 years of age, irrespective of gender, caste, religion, or race, and is otherwise not disqualified, is eligible to vote for the Lok Sabha. The Constitution provides that the maximum strength of the House be 552 members. It has a term of 5 years. To be eligible for membership in the Lok Sabha, a person must be a citizen of India and must be 25 years of age or older, mentally sound, should not be bankrupt, and should not be criminally convicted. The total elective membership is distributed among the states in such a way that the ratio between the number of seats allotted to each state and the population of the state is so far as practicable the same for all states. Rajya Sabha, Council of States, or the upper house is a permanent body not subject to dissolution. One third of the members retire every second year and are replaced by newly elected members. Each member is elected for a term of 6 years. Its members are indirectly elected by members of legislative bodies of the states. The number of members from a state depends on its population. The minimum age for a person to become a member of Rajya Sabha is 30 years. The period during which the House meets to conduct its business is called a session. The Constitution empowers the President to summon each House at such intervals that there should not be more than a 6-month gap between the two sessions. Hence, the Parliament must meet at least twice a year. Stop. Starting in 5 seconds. Dear fellow citizens, Namaskar. On the eve of the 74th Republic Day, I extend my heartiest greetings to every Indian at home and abroad. From the day the Constitution came into effect to the present day, it has been an amazing journey that has inspired many other nations. Every citizen has reason to be proud of the Indian story. When we celebrate the Republic Day, we celebrate what we have achieved together as a nation. India is, of course, home to one of the oldest living civilizations. India is called the mother of democracy. As a modern republic, however, we are young. In the early years of independence, we faced countless challenges and adversities. Very high levels of poverty and illiteracy were just two of the many ill effects of the long foreign rule. Yet the spirit of India was underrated. With hope and confidence, we began an experiment unique in the history of humankind. Such a vast and diverse multitude of people coming together as one nation remains unprecedented. We did so with a belief that we are, after all, one, that we are all Indians. We have succeeded as a democratic republic because so many creeds and so many languages have not divided us, they have only united us. That is the essence of India. That essence was at the heart of the Constitution, which has withstood the test of time The constitution that started governing the life of the republic was the outcome of the freedom struggle. The national movement led by Mahatma Gandhi was as much about winning independence as about rediscovering our own ideals. Those decades of struggle and sacrifice helped us win freedom not only from colonial rule but also from the imposed values and narrow world views. Revolutionaries and reformers joined hands with visionaries and idealists to help us learn about our age old values of peace, brotherhood, and equality. Those who shaped the modern Indian mind also welcomed progressive ideas from abroad, following the Vedic advice, let noble thoughts come to us from all directions. A long and profound thought process culminated in our Constitution. Our founding document is inspired by the humanistic philosophy of the oldest living civilization in the world as well as new ideas that emerged in more recent history. The nation will always remain grateful to Dr. B.R. Ambedkar, who headed the drafting committee of the Constitution and thus had a critical part in giving it the final shape. On this day, we should also remember the role of jurist B. N. Rao, who had prepared the initial draft, and other experts and officers who helped in making of the Constitution. We are proud of the fact that the members of that assembly represented all regions and communities of India and that they had included 15 women too. Their vision as enshrined in the Constitution has been continuously guiding our republic. During this period, India has been transformed from a largely poor and illiterate nation into a confident nation marching on the world stage. This would not have been possible but for the collective wisdom of the constitution makers guiding our path, while Baba Saheb Ambedkar and others gave us a map and a moral framework. The task of walking that path remains our responsibility. We have largely remained true to their expectations, and yet we realize that much remains to be done to realize Gandhiji's ideal of Sarvodaya, the upliftment of all. Yet the progress we have made on all fronts is encouraging. Stop.